Do you know what's even more epic than CLOG2 versus CLOG3? Well, it's RAW versus CLOG2. And today we're going to be going to Algoma. Do you know where Algoma is? Nobody does. You're not from Wisconsin, are you? But if you are from Wisconsin, you should know where it is. It is on the Lake Michigan side. We're going to go to the beach there, get some nice RAW video on the beach, and CLOG2 and do a comparison. It's going to be epic. So let's head over there. All right, I just got done with a shoot, well, actually technically like 3 shoots here in the Algoma area. So I am in Algoma, and you have no idea where Algoma is. It is on Lake Michigan, so it's about 45 minutes or so from Green Bay, just head east. And so you've got beautiful, beautiful Lake Michigan. Swam about 20 miles north of here, 30 miles north of here with the family this past weekend. It is just, it's gorgeous. If you haven't been to Wisconsin, or even the UP, Upper Peninsula of Michigan, it's gorgeous. So this is CLOG, no, I'm lying. This is RAW, 24 frames per second RAW. And there is a dog sticking its head out and barking. That's Wisconsin. So 24 frames per second RAW. I do wanna do kind of a comparison with this and look at 24 frames per second in CLOG2 and compare the RAW. Now it is in 4K, I'm not doing it in 8K, at least not right now. I'll probably do a test that's everything at once, where I'm doing all the RAW settings, all the CLOG settings, everything in resolution. But I'm kind of breaking these down because it's a lot of information and it's nice to use this as a library and not as an encyclopedia. So, did that make sense? Okay, let's switch over to 24 frames per second in CLOG2 and see what that looks like comparison to RAW. So now we're in 24 frames per second in CLOG2, long GOP, and yeah, it's 422 color. So nothing would have changed really with the 10-bit file at all, except, now I have to think about it, is RAW 12-bit internal in 4K? Not sure. I'll know the answer probably later in this video and I'll tell you. But yeah, that is what this looks like. Here is a test because I forgot to put it in white balance for daylight. It is an auto white balance. The nice thing is if auto white balance was not correct in what I wanted, now it should stay consistent because I haven't moved, the lighting has been the same. But if it wasn't correct in RAW, you can actually change that. You can also change ISO. There's a lot more you can do. The files are ginormous though, but that's what this looks like. But what I really want to check out, and it's going to be more slow motion because I'm going to keep it in a 24 frame per second timeline, is going to be 60 frames per second competing with each other. So we're going to do 60 frames per second in RAW, and then we're going to do 60 frames per second in CLOG2 and see if the sharpness changes. Because I think there might be a difference. We'll find out. Now we are back to 24 frames per second. How is the 60 frames per second comparison? We will find out for sure which one is sharper, because if you're doing 60 frames per second and you're sad that your 4K is not oversampled, the RAW might be the solution, but we'll find out. I'll let you know. We're gonna go back in there. But how is the glare in RAW? It's pretty glaring, but if anything could recover it, it is CLOG2 or RAW. Man, here, come with me. Let's just take a look at this. Look at that. That is just gorgeous. And how about those drone shots? Those drone shots were pretty spectacular as well that I had to get for a client out here. So no complaints. Here is backlit, actually. This would be a good one for RAW. So how is the backlit? How's my shadow? I know that I should not have as much light on my face. The sun is looking, look, it doesn't even know how to focus on my face. There. So I am using a KNF Concept ND filter. I love these things. They're fantastic. Been using them for years and been getting more. So let's go back to the computer. Now I wanted to bring you back into DaVinci Resolve so we can look at these files. So this is before any kind of grading that was done. But what's interesting is here's all the files. And here are the dimensions. It's the ultra wide 4K, but it is 12-bit, 24 frames per second, Canon RAW. So we got 12-bit. That is why these RAW files just pop with color, and I can really push it before anything would just fall apart with it. Whereas with CLOG2, it does start to fall apart. I can't push it as much. It looks very unnatural with the colors, whereas it is practically major HDR coloring with that 12-bit right there. So when we click on this one over here, you will see that it is the same dimensions, 24 frames per second, 422, but it is a 10-bit color depth there. Now, one of the big differences between RAW and LOG is when you go in DaVinci Resolve, you click on the RAW file here, you go right here. So first of all, we are in the color tab, but then you click on the camera RAW, and now you have all these options. Now I will undo that, and you can actually select if you're going to be using under the project, if it's going to be under the clip, the full res Canon. I don't know the science to this yet. I'm still playing with it. I don't shoot RAW, but after playing with it today, I think I am going to be doing this on one of my next real estate walkthroughs, which is coming up soon. You can change the white balance. Now, you can't do this in LOG. You are really fiddling with changing and just making colors look really bad if you do it in LOG. But in here, you can now change the white balance completely. So if for some reason I shot it in daylight and it was actually cloudy out, I can change it and now it is for cloudy. Even better, I can start manipulating the color temperature specific. We're at 5500, but I can change it and it doesn't ruin the picture like it would in LOG. I choose Canon Cinema Gamut right there when I go to do the grading. And then I choose LOG2. Now, this is what it looks like with LOG3. More contrasty, and this is accurate because LOG3, as we know from the previous video that I did, is more contrasty. Now, regular LOG and CLOG2 in DaVinci Resolve are essentially the same. There's no difference at all. So I don't see how it changes. It doesn't change the waveform at all. And I just stick with the CLOG2. And when you're in RAW, you can not only change the temperature, the tint, you can do exposure. So you can manipulate the highlights in here before you get into the true color grading. Now, if you choose full res Canon, I can actually change the ISO as well, which is absolutely bonkers. So I can change it to 1000. I can change it to 1600, and it really doesn't hurt the file a whole lot at all. I mean, maybe it does. I don't know. Again, pretty new to doing RAW shoots. So let's just leave it at 800. It was graded for 800 ISO. And it was exposed for that, but I could change in post and clean it up later. And if you're familiar with DaVinci Resolve, you would then move into either the color wheels, the HDR. Right here in the color wheels, you then have little subcategories, And then you have log where you can deal with that. So we've already converted it to CLOG2, and now you've got some more leverage playing within that color space. So yes, obviously internal RAW is 12-bit, which I did not know what a 12-bit file felt like until I touched it. And when I touched it and made it colorful, I wanted more. So 10-bit is like yesterday's food. I don't want it. It's like getting Little Caesars pizza if you're from the US. I don't know if they have Little Caesars anywhere else, but it's like really good when you get it. You have a stomachache later on, but you know, the next day you try to get it and you put it in the microwave and it turns into kind of like a jello. That's really hard. So it doesn't work out very well. And that's like 10-bit, because now that you can do 12-bit colors with RAW and the 60 frames per second in 4K, and it is sharper than the undersampled CLOG2 4K 60, yeah, it's pretty awesome. Which makes me come to the conclusion, that's not scientific, it's just Jared-tific, that 4K 60 RAW is actually oversampled. It is super sharp compared to the 4K CLOG2 at 60 frames per second. And that changes everything when it comes to architectural photography and video walkthroughs like I do, because I do it at 60 frames per second. But if I can get sharper, better images that I can correct the white balance in post, I'll have to do a comparison to do raw light. You obviously get a lot less data in there and you save more space, but you might be compromising the image as well. Again, there are a lot of tests to do on the R5 II. I rhymed on purpose. I appreciate you all coming on the ride of the R5 II with me. It has been a blast and it's going to keep going. I have so much more tests to do. So I appreciate your likes, subscribes, your little bells that you ring. And if you are thinking of purchasing this camera or any of the lenses, if you want to help support this channel and help me, motivate me to do more videos, feel free to use the affiliate links below. It doesn't cost you extra and it helps me out quite a bit. So I appreciate it. Don't worry, I'm going to shoot out more videos. I'm trying to go fast. Just give me some time. But in the meantime, check out these videos right here. They're pretty awesome because I made them by hand. This hand right here made it by typing some things out.